Hi everybody, welcome to another video from Misty and the Brit. Today I just wanted to talk a little bit about transport in the Philippines, getting around, because the public and available transport is somewhat different to what I was used to in the UK, what we get in the West. So I just wanted to talk through a few of the unusual types of transport that you might come across if you're visiting the Philippines. The first type of transport I want to talk about is probably the one that will take you the shortest distance, and that is probably the most localized one and probably also the slowest one, and that is pedicabs. Pedicabs are basically bicycles, usually quite old ones as well, that have basically had a little sidecar welded onto the side of them. Make no mistake, these are not state-of-the-art bicycles. They are certainly not modern mountain bike styles with suspension or anything like that. They are old rickety bikes, usually with foot pedal brakes, with some kind of seats welded onto them. Some have covers, some do not, to shelter you from the sun and the rain. But they're very, very cheap, and they generally just take you to the edges of or to within a particular barangay or subdivision. So they'll really only take you usually a few hundred yards, and they'll cost anything from 10 to maybe 20, 25 pesos, something like this. So not a huge amount of money, peanuts basically, and they'll get you around from where you're staying basically to the edge of the barangay, where you can pick up another type of transport to get into the city or wherever. They're not allowed on a lot of the roads, and one warning I'd give to people is that they're tiny. I'm 6'1", not huge by any estimation, but I really, really struggle to fit in them. My knees are up against my chin, I'm banging my head off the roof, all these sorts of things, which of course Misty finds hilarious. But just something to be aware of if you're getting pedicabs. If you're a larger gentleman, there's a good chance you're not going to fit in them at all, and the people are not half going to look at you funny if you're asking them for a ride. The next one to consider is probably trikes. Trikes are mostly mopeds or small cc motorbikes that have a sidecar, again, welded onto them, to carry families or people or goods around, I guess. They're everywhere in the Philippines, and I would treat them more like a sort of taxi service. You can get apps like Maxim and Grab, and you can literally order one. They're pretty cheap, maybe 100 pesos, something like this, to get you around. Not expensive at all, and they're pretty reliable. They're pretty slow, like I said. They're small motorbikes with sidecars on. A lot of them, probably because they're only going around the towns and cities, you'll be lucky to get to 30 miles an hour, put it that way. They're usually pretty slow. But that's not a problem. The weather's nice, bit of breeze. It's usually quite often just what you need. Again, you might need to watch your head getting in and out of these things. Along similar lines to this, you can also get moped taxis, like motorbike taxis. They're pretty cheap as well, not expensive at all, and they're pretty much the same as Trikes. You can order them through the apps. They'll turn up with a spare helmet, jump on the back, and they'll whiz you off to where you want to go. Then, of course, we have Jeepneys and cabs, somewhat legendary. They're often cobbled together from spare parts, dressed up to the max with all sorts of bells and whistles and flashy lights, things like this. And yeah, they'll have all sorts of badges on them, but you'll know it's never been anywhere near the manufacturer of that badge. They're loud, they're dirty, they're noisy, but people love them. They're individual, they're bright, they're colourful, they add a bit of spark to the life. They're cheap again to get around, and they pretty much work like buses do in the UK. Cabs are very similar, just maybe a little bit smaller and maybe a bit more regular routes. But again, 30, 50 pesos maybe to get yourself around from say downtown to the next neighbourhood town, or to the outskirts of the town, or to the barangays. Not an expensive way to travel at all. But again, oh my gosh, They're so low. To the point where Misty actually doesn't like us taking them anymore because I've smashed my head so badly pretty much every time we get in or out of one. They are just really, really small, and it is a real issue for me. I've got so many lumps and bumps you just wouldn't believe. Many of these cabs and jeepneys are currently being replaced by much more modern air-conditioned buses, very much like we would have here in the West. So that's going to be pretty good. Not so good for the jeepney drivers though. They're all up in arms about it, but you can get those as well. It tends to be potluck. You can also get minivans, and minivans will quite often, you can be hired one-off, or you can just catch one that is heading to the next door town or something like this. These little minivans are a bit of a law unto themselves. They quite often go from the sort of major depots and the major hubs, and they go to all the sorts of places that you might want to go. But they go when they want to go. So there might be only one a day, and it all depends on what time of day you turn up as to how likely it is that you're going to get on, because basically they go when they're full. And that can actually be said for the jeepneys and a lot of the cabs as well. You won't see them riding around empty unless they're getting near to their destination. So yeah, it's a very, very different system. You can turn up hoping to get one of these minivans, get a cab basically to the neighbouring town, might be an hour or so away, and you'll arrive at 10 o'clock thinking, come on, let's go. And they'll keep you waiting around till 3:30, 4 o'clock until it's full, and then they'll jump on the way after that, which can be infuriating, it's got to be said. Not something that I've had a problem with, but I have heard others saying it's been a bit of an issue at times, so one to be aware of. Beyond that, of course, you've got ferries everywhere. How many thousands of islands are there in the Philippines? 6,000 maybe. So there's obviously lots of ferries and boats to get across between the islands. They are pretty slow, but they are pretty cheap. So certainly a worthy consideration if you're not time constrained and you want to get around a bit, experience a bit more perhaps. Don't really have any trains, not that I've seen anyway. But otherwise you can get really good local flights. I've only taken a few to sort of Cebu and back, and across to Manila, I suppose, there's transfers. And they're generally pretty good, pretty reliable, pretty cheap, and of course, very quick. So that's always a consideration. Really, really quick to get around the Philippines from one island to another. It's pretty well set up for it, and it's improving every year from what I can see. So long may that continue and more visits ahead. That's all my initial thoughts on transport in the Philippines for the time being. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, give it a like, thumbs up, leave a comment, and I'll see you in the next one.